Okay, so let's take a look at the Air Travel Pack. And no major issues here that, oh, actually, no, there is one major thing here, which is that the Air Travel Pack has no option for a waist belt. This is not unlike this guy right here. This doesn't come with a waist belt either. To me, that's a huge bummer because when you're carrying something that's this big and you have it filled, you really want to have something that stabilizes the load, or in fact, if it's a true sort of hip belt situation, it can take some of the weight comfortably off of your shoulders and put it onto your hips. So it's too bad that they didn't design that into this bag. I think it would have made a lot of sense for them to have done that. The other thing that is different about this bag versus the other three is that there's no way to hide the suspension system. If you recall, the Minal had a cover that zipped over the entirety of the suspension system, and that I didn't show it to you, but the Mountain Smith actually has the ability to, oh, maybe I did show it to you, to tuck the shoulder straps into a panel behind this back area here. And that's really handy because if you're going down the aisle, say, of the airplane, you just don't, you don't want to wear your pack because then you'll run into people. But more importantly, you just don't want to have straps grabbing onto things and holding you back. So being able to tuck them away and make this seem like it's a duffel bag rather than a backpack is a nice option to have. So it's too bad that they didn't design that in. Okay, the Air itself is made, it's probably, from my perspective, it feels like it's the pack that's the most rugged of those that I'm looking at tonight. The zippers are gigantic. The material feels incredibly stout. It feels like it would stop a bullet. And you know, everything that they have here, it just seems like they went above and beyond in terms of their quality and workmanship. So this thing is a beast. It is powerful, strong. It's going to last for a long period of time. Let's take a look at the pockets here. You have one pocket that is opened by a water-resistant zipper, and this is a giant size YKK zipper with a nice little, what do you call these things? Tabs. And it makes it so you can really grab it. If you're wearing gloves, you can grab it, open it, and close it. The thing is a beast. All the zippers are giant. And there's a little bit of three-dimensionality to this lower pocket here, but it's not padded. It's pretty small. I'd be afraid to put in anything that was in any way fragile down here. But perhaps if you want to put maybe your boarding pass in here, I don't know. I don't know what I would choose to put down in here. Maybe a couple of, I was going to say like granola bars, but then you put this bag down on top of your granola bars and they're going to turn into a crumbly mess. So it's a funny pocket. I'm not sure what this really has to offer. I'm not sure I would have even bothered putting it there. It looks cool to have the two zippers here, so that's maybe what they wanted to do. Just make it look cool. And then up top here, you have a zippered compartment, and this one goes all the way down to this zipper right here. So this is a giant pocket, and it doesn't go upwards into that area. It just goes down. And this one it's not gusseted. So it has a little bit of the three-dimensionality to it, but not a whole lot. So flat things are going to be put into here rather than big old three-dimensional things. You could squish in a light sweater, fleece, whatever it is, into there, but that's just about it. Actually, I did think of something here. Perhaps they could have made this bottom thing go more into the pack, and that could have been where you would keep your shoes. And I'll explain I'll explain this shoe thing in a moment. It's pretty cool. Nice tabs on either side to make zipping and unzipping much easier. Grab onto it, leverage, back and forth. Really awesome. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk about this zippered compartment here on the bottom. It has a couple of ventilation holes, which immediately should clue you into what this is going to be used for. This is an area where you can stow your shoes or your silica gel. And, it's a separate compartment. It's waterproof, so if your shoes are gooey and stinky, they can tuck right in there. You'll see in a moment, though, that's kind of a funny design. because it actually goes into the main compartment of your pack and takes up a significant amount of room. Now, of course it will be, but it's a funny design. And having holes in the bottom of your pack, that always seems a little bit odd to me too. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the organizing panel that is just behind the front here. And there's a lot going on here. This organizing panel actually has some three-dimensionality to it, some volume to it. And you can see that there's a pocket. This is an open top pocket that goes all the way down to this zipper here, okay, this front zipper. And it would be a great place for you to store file folders. Just in front of that and below is a zippered compartment, and you can see the extent of it here. And there is one of those ubiquitous silly key hooks in there. Go away. I'm glad that it can go away and I don't have to see it. The interesting thing is that it doesn't unzip any more than this, which I find a little bit odd. I feel like this panel, it would have been nice if it zipped all the way down to this lower zipper here, so that I'd be able to very easily access these pockets. I'd be able to see what's in these pockets. As it is now, you sort of have to pull it away. It does make for a big open space here where you can toss things. And then there are two slots. One of them is enclosed by elastic. The other one is enclosed by a little piece of Velcro. And then over on this side, you have a padded pocket. And it seems like it's, absolutely, it's designed for your MacBook Pro charger. It'll fit in there without a problem. Okay, so it's great to have an organizing panel on the outside so you can easily access it when this thing is stowed at your feet and under the seat in front of you. Just behind this panel, the organizing panel, is another quick access pocket, and this thing would be perfect for me to put my sunglasses in or put my cell phone in, something where I need to get access to stuff very quickly. It's not fleece lined, and it does share volume with the main compartment, so you have to be careful not to crush things in there. If you put your glasses in there, you got to be very careful that they're not going to get squished by whatever you have filling up the volume of the main compartment. Then we have giant size zippers to get access to the main compartment. This is one of the things that's kind of a pain about the Air, is that these compression straps are great, but they do cross over the actual the zippers of the main compartment. If you recall, the Manal was designed not to have that be the case. And if you take a look here at the Mountain Smith, these don't cross over the zipper to the main compartment. The zipper to the main compartment's right here. Notice the extent of the compression straps. They do cross over the area that allows you to expand it and contract it, but you're not going to do that very often. Okay, so you do indeed have to unclip these compression straps. And note too that these are large size buckles. I mean, I'm happy that Air gives you such beefy, fast text buckles, but in some ways they do actually make it harder for you to shrink this and squish it down, because the buckles themselves take up some width and you can't go beyond that. So like 1.5 inches of width of this buckle prevents you from compressing this pack even more as a result. So let me go ahead and unclip these and unzip this thing. It's hinged at the bottom, opens up, and there's actually a good 1.5 inches of volume here on the front flap, and there's a zippered compartment here which has a little bit of volume, but of course that would have to be shared volume with the main compartment. My pillows. You can see here, this is the bag that holds your shoes. So, if you have your shoes in here, it obviously takes up some space, some volume in the main compartment. And the entire bag has structure to it because there's foam not only in the back and the front, but also on the sides. That's unusual. Just about none of these bags, these 3 bags, have foam on the sides. Now, of course, when you have foam on the sides, that also means that it's taking up a little bit of volume. Maybe it's a little incremental amount of volume, but it does take up some volume. And know that as a result of taking up some volume and being a little bit stiffer, it makes it harder for you to compress this into a flatter bag when it's not filled up. I'm not sure how important it is to have the foam, because once this thing is filled up with all your stuff, it's going to maintain its structure. So it does make it look nice all the time, because even when this thing isn't filled, it actually keeps its shape, so it looks kind of cool. But I'm not sure if that's worth it, right? So removing a little bit of this foam maybe here would have been preferable in terms of the compressibility of this bag. I wouldn't have removed it from the panels, but the sides I don't think is necessary. Geez, it even feels like there's a little foam in this tiny little wall that exists here. So, but that's, air is all about, boy, they do over-engineer things for sure. I mean, your stuff is going to be well protected. You could use this in some ways to carry all your photographic equipment, and it would be well protected. Okay, so there's our main compartment. Again, every time you close it, you're going to need to connect these compression straps. You wouldn't want these hanging around and grabbing on things as you're moving down the aisle of the airplane. Okay, and then let's move to the top here. You can see we have a nice grab handle here, which is covered with a Velcroed foam layer. This is a very interesting design choice. I'm not sure why they decided to have this piece, because it is stitched on. It's not like this is removable. So I don't know. Why even have Velcro? What is it? Maybe you can... I'm not sure. There must be some design reason for this, and I'd love to talk to Air about why they decided to do this. It's odd. One thing that is not great about this is that while it is a great handle, it's right in the middle. It feels like I could carry this for a while, and it carries the load. It makes it very balanced. Because of its location, it's not against the back near the suspension system. It's much harder to hook this to the wall. Say if you have, a typical coat hook, there's no way you could very easily do that, especially if this bag is filled because it's so stiff. And so you'd have to have, if you think about it, the hook that you would put this on would have to stick out of the wall a good 6 inches in order to carry this without it sort of bending away from the wall or just frankly popping right on off. So it's too bad they didn't just put in an inexpensive webbing hook right here, a webbing piece of loop. You wouldn't use that to grab onto, to move around, but you would use it to be able to hang this thing on the wall. So that, to me, is an unfortunate design flaw. The pack has a zippered compartment here, nice and tall. Look at that. That thing is as long as any water bottle that I can think of. So you unzip that middle portion, and then it's not super stretchy. Well, it's elastic at the top, but it's not enormously stretchy here. And you should have no problem fitting in like a hydro flask into this, and it would hold it securely because it's so dang tall. Great. I like it that it can zip flat up against the bag side, so it looks nice and clean when you're not using it. That's a key element. Oh, there's another grab handle here on the side. Interestingly, it has to be set where it is, because otherwise if you try to put this down the middle, it would be right over the water bottle pocket. But of course, because it's there, the bottom edge of the bag does tip in towards you if you're holding this in briefcase style. You would probably never use this thing in briefcase style because there's no way of hiding the shoulder straps. They'd get all caught up on you. It's a pain. This is really just a grab handle so you can grab your luggage and toss it around, I suppose. Okay, suspension system. Shoulder straps, they are nice and stiff. They are padded, lightly padded. There is a nice foam it's foam backed with mesh on it. There's an open channel here to allow for ventilation. So really nice, and it feels like there's a stiff plastic frame sheet that's keeping this thing all sort of nice structure, etc. The shoulder straps, you can see, are shaped. They are adjustable in length. The sternum strap also adjustable in length. There are some nice beefy pieces of webbing to hang things off of if you want to do that. And there are even load lifters for this. Again, I'm not sure load lifters are so absolutely critical for packs like this, but I suppose it's nice to have them. And yeah, so I think that's just about it in terms of what the suspension system offers. It's pretty no frills. It reminds me actually a lot of the Timbuk2 bags. They have a lot of design similarities to the Timbuk2. The only thing it doesn't have is the silly bottle opener that Timbuk2 likes to sew into their shoulder straps. But that's, Timbuk2 makes good products. I think Air makes better products by a lot. But it's really not, you don't buy this thing for the suspension system. You'll see in a moment with this Tortuga over here, you could potentially buy this because that suspension system is ridiculously nice. Okay, so there you have it again. This is the Air Travel Pack, and this thing is going to last you forever.